You were listening to episode 240 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games. We've recently picked up games we're currently playing, and we stop at infinity in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week we played a little bit of Toy Story 2 on the Nintendo 64. Ryan was eager to play Toy Story, so that's what we did.
Yeah, I don't know what it was this week. It was just like a couple days ago. I think I saw something about the Buzz Lightyear movie or something like that. I haven't even seen that. But all of a sudden, just rushing back to me came the memories of playing this Toy Story game as a kid, but on PlayStation. As much as I Googled, I couldn't find that the game was actually on PlayStation, so I guess it was this Toy Story 2 game on PlayStation 2 that I had played a bunch. Would make sense because my friend did have a PlayStation 2 that I would go over to his house. So I'm assuming that this is the right game, and it feels pretty right from what we were playing. Although we were playing on the N64, so that's a little bit off. But I think that, it's a good time.
Well, we played with the, what's it called?
The not N64 controller.
Yeah.
It was bizarre and weird to me still.
Yeah, I forget, what is it? Retro Brawler 64 controller. That's what we played with. And, dude, that's honestly, I think, the best way to play Nintendo 64 games. So, let's dive into our recent pickups and what we're currently playing. This week, I picked up the PlayStation Plus games. So I got Trek to Yomi, NBA 2K23, and was it Jurassic Park or something like that was on there this week? Or this month. So I picked those up. And then as far as what I'm playing right now, I'm still playing White Knight Chronicles, but I took a little bit of a break. I've been extremely tired as of late, so lack of sleep, and decided let me just go ahead and watch some Walking Dead because I haven't watched that in so long.
Oh, yeah?
And
where did you leave off?
I left off at about the middle of season 9.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've seen way more of it than I have anyways.
Gotcha.
No more questions.
No more questions?
I mean, I'm never going to go back and watch that show. It's one of those shows where it's like I've watched the first 4 seasons twice, and then the second time I watched it, I watched an extra 2 seasons and still gave up on the show.
Yeah.
And it's just I can't bring myself to go back to a show a third time. If you don't get me on my first 2 tries, I'm done.
So, for me, I've always followed it beforehand, and then I, at some point, just stopped watching. I don't remember why. I think it was because I finished season 9. But when I kicked, season 10 open and started watching, I'm like, man, I am so far behind. I don't remember squat of what happened. So I had to go back and finish the second half of season 9 and get to where I am now. So I'm probably about 5 or 6 episodes into season 10 now. And I know it only goes 11 seasons, so almost there. Almost
nice.
At the end. Yeah. And that's about it. There wasn't a whole lot going this week. I know we played some Magic, so I guess because they were currently playing the Lord of the Rings set, which was a ton of fun. So I went, this is the first Magic I played since October, and I went 2-0-1. I had a tie, which really sucked. But if we count the game that we played today, I went 2-1-1 because I played you and lost, which was a first, actually.
Yeah, I think it really is. I can't remember the last time that I actually beat you 2 out of 3.
Yeah, with a draft deck. Yeah, it was actually kind of shocking. I think for you, a lot of your stuff was the Menace and the Orc creation, the Amass Orcs, which is actually something that I did not utilize.
See, I made sure that I had so when I made my deck, I had 3 or 4 creatures that were flying or menace. I had 3 or 4 cards that would tempt, and I had 3 or 4 cards that would amass. So it's almost no matter what I'm doing, I'm getting something other than my normal approach of just low cost tribal. Hope it works out, and then I run out of steam on turn 5 as soon as they drop something with 4 health.
Yeah. So my approach was very much building up counters and scrying a lot. So I was constantly picking at the top of my deck. I did have a little bit of creature control. Funny enough, I didn't draw any of it against you when we played. And I ran 3 colors, which was, for limited, that's tough in a set that doesn't have 3 colors. And I think you ran 3 as well, right? You went blue, black, white.
Yeah, I had to. I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough creatures amongst my spread to do anything really well. I had so many spells in there. Like, I still wound up going spell heavy and throwing in an extra land to get 41 instead of a slim 40 card deck to make it happen.
Yeah, honestly, if I would have gone green, black only, I probably would have been okay. But then the creatures that had developed counters off of scrying, I would have lost that ability completely. I wouldn't have been able to use that. So it was like, man, I kind of have to go green, blue, black. So, or bug is technically the technical term there. All right. How about yourself, man? Any pickups?
No, I mean, I played the same Magic you did, and it was more expensive than either of us were thinking. We both were a little shocked when it was going to be $50. So trying to, figure out how I'm going to play a lot more of this set. Like, I took the last 2 or 3 off so that I could get more of this one, and I never saved up for it. So I think I got $25 off my next visit to the shop because I maxed out my stamp card.
Nice.
So I'm going to use that and buy myself a lottery ticket. Hopefully nobody pulls the 1 of 1 ring before Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you might get lucky. There's some decent cards in there.
Dude, I want $2 million in a paella.
$2 million in paella. I don't know, man. That's insane how much those are going for right now. And then, I thought it was kind of bullshit, too. The whole $50 for a pre-release, instead of $25. Because, there's cards in here that are really good for Modern. They weren't. There's nothing in there that was, stellar for Modern. I think everything that was of value was actually in the collector's edition. So it made 0 sense to me that we were paying $50, but I digress. And then currently playing, what do you got going?
Still just kind of meandering my way through Tears of the Kingdom. I did look at the game case for Darkness at least every day that I walked into the room that it was in this week. So, I'm getting slowly used to the idea of starting that game. And then I showed you the Pikmin case last night on stream. Yeah. So, that doesn't count as playing, but I was physically in relation with the game at one point in the last week, so I'm counting it.
Yeah. So what Ryan's referring to is we actually were on the PlayStation Collectors Podcast last night with Figsy and Will. 2 guys ordered are on, I think it was episode 60 that we were on last night.
Yeah.
So that was live. It's on YouTube, so definitely check that out. And a lot of fun. Had a good time with those guys. All right. Well, let's dive into a discussion topic. I saw recently that somebody had posted a negative review on Starfield. I don't think Starfield has been put in the hands of any reviewers at this point. So There's not even an embargo, right? And it's definitely not in the hands of consumers. So seeing the negative review come up right away, it's like, what the hell's going on? Why is this already happening? What's the beef with Starfield? So you brought up, well, let's talk about review bombing and all of the crazy review bombing that's happened, I guess, this year and I guess most recently in prior years too.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a trend lately, and I don't know exactly what the reviewer really thinks that they're trying to prove by, obviously lying. They haven't played the game. They don't know anything more than anybody else. So, they're just trying to be negative to be negative. And I know there's been a lot of backlash about the 30 frames. And that's kind of what I assumed all this was stemming from is, people blow up when it's not going to be 60 frames. I get it. We are supposed to be in the 60 frame 4K generation. The Xbox and the PS5, they're so powerful. That's what they're meant to be able to do. But, it's not happening. And people were really pissed with Redfall. But when you look at Redfall and you look at Starfield, Redfall is a mistake. Starfield is a decision. And many other devs have come out online in defense of Starfield. Because, if you saw the trailer, there's a lot of sandwiches you're going to have to throw in your cargo hold. And for the game to be able to track all those sandwiches, can't do it at 60 frames a second.
That's true. I also saw something the other day that said specifically that the PlayStation 5 is going to rarely have 60 frames per second moving forward in the generation.
Because we're still doing all the backlog stuff that's cross-gen.
I don't even know if it's that. It said moving forward, it's going to be a rarity for 60 frames per second.
Yeah, because they're gonna. Well, that's the thing. Like
When the back gens or last gen's not always going to be there, but I don't think that's the main reason. Like there's games that are only on PS5 and PC, and they're saying like in general, moving forward, it's going to be a rarity.
Well, that's why, because like they're going to be developing purely for those systems, whereas those systems can take games that were developed for the last gen and run those at 60 way easier. But now that we're leaving those in the dust, now they really got to step it up and use what they can. And, people love to just complain about anything. And if it wasn't 60 frames a second, it would be the character models. And I've been seeing a lot of side-by-sides between here's what they showed off last year, here's what they showed off this year. And yeah, you know what? Some of those character models do have some noticeable downgrade in some of the quality, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It is something to complain about, but is it something to come out like 5 months before the games, or not 5 months, but months before the games even out and complain about before you've even had a chance to touch it? Like, what if you don't even notice that? Or what if it's really not that big a deal and the rest of the game is great and you're like, oh, I'm such a big man, I'm going to give it, a 1 out of 10. And you're probably honestly going to play it for like 120 hours, even if you are going to complain. Like, that's the thing. Most of these people who review bomb, they're like anybody who boycotts a game. You buy it anyways, and then you complain about it like you didn't just buy it.
Yeah, and I think it's negligible, honestly, with console games to go from 30 to 60 frames per second. I've played both, 30 and 60, and played whatever I've played on my PC, and honestly, I don't care for it at a higher resolution or a higher frame rate. Like I kind of like the slower pace and turns and whatnot. Now, obviously, unless it's like choppy, then yeah, it's an issue. But
that's frame pacing. That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. If you don't have any issues with like choppiness and it's actively like it looks good at 30. I don't see any issue, man. Like a game's a game, right? As long as a game plays well and it looks good in general, and it's got a good story and everything tied to it and good gameplay, like I don't care if it's 30 frames or 60 frames per second. So, that's obviously one of the many reasons. But to your point, right? Like character models and all of that. So the Gollum game, that's one that I don't know if the game itself is like
the game's
terrible. Bad. Is it bad?
It's not a well put together like set of things to be doing as Gollum. Like it really doesn't make a lot of sense, and the story's not really that good, and the characters aren't.
So, but
really
that's one that's deserving. Obviously.
It has a bunch of other stuff going on around that. Now, the fact that was like a studio's like real first take at trying to do something like on that level, like obviously they didn't do good, but they tried to do different and tried to do something, and like obviously that doesn't get them off the hook, and they don't deserve good scores just because they tried hard. But
they get a cake though. It's like at least you tried.
yeah. But like that's a situation where you deserve some bad reviews for that. Yeah. You're gonna get it in the face. But like the review bombing as like a culture. And
Last of Us 2 was a prime example, right? Mm-hmm. Like people did not like. So you had 3 views actually, right? So you had. Well, and spoilers if you haven't played Last of Us 2. So Joel dying, right, at the very beginning. So you have that whole situation, people pissed off, oh, Joel died, so I'm going to review bomb it. It's not a good game because of that. Then you have how Abby looks, right? So, oh, Abby's transgender, and I don't approve of it. Like, she looks trans, so it's review bombed, Or, oh, there's Ellie is gay, so that's review bombed. Little things like that. And the Ellie is gay one is funny just because it's revealed in the DLC for the first one that she's gay, so you already know that.
Yeah.
But like that's 3 instances of something that is just I can get the Joel piece and get behind that to an extent, right? Because they advertised that the game was going to have Joel for the longest time, and then he's killed, right? The other 2, what the hell? Like it has nothing to do with the game. You're hating the game just to hate the game, and some of those people, like you said, are probably going to buy it. They're going to hate on it regardless, but they're going to beat it because, I want to play it and I want to finish it up. It's just, like you said, the culture is just ridiculous of review bombing. And then there's the opposite, right? Then you have review propping of, I'm just going to prop it up because it's something
10 out of 10 Nintendo.
Yeah, right? So like a good one would be the Pokemon games. PS2 based graphics, tons of issues bug wise, and in all sense like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for like what's not a really good game, right? In terms of quality and what's being put into the market. But you have this rabid Nintendo fan base that everything Nintendo touches is gold no matter what. And, you know, it's obviously, oh, well, it's Pokemon. That's the models. That's how it looks. When, you know, or, well, it's Nintendo Switch. It's an older console. I would expect it to look like this. Like there's some sort of defense that goes into play versus on, you know, other consoles, right? There's a lot more flack that's given to Sony and Microsoft when like certain things are not met, or expectations, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, there really is not, I don't know. I feel like it's a matter of the culture and the times these days is really what it is. It's like no matter what space you look into, whether it's politics or just, you know, your fun hobbies like video games, people just want to be so polarized and divided and opinionated and, you know, really go all in on that, not really give like a second thought or a middle opinion. You know, it's fine to have games that are 7 out of 10s, but people just think a 7 out of 10 do not play, absolute failure. You know, it's got to be a 10 out of 10 or it's not even worth it, or maybe a 9 out of 10 or I'm not even going to waste my time. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh, this had one thing wrong with it, 0.
Yeah.
You know, people just can't be moderate anymore or, you know, really even seemingly have respect for the game's not even out and people are trying to review bomb it. Like they didn't even give it a chance. They saw a trailer a year ago. They saw a very generous 45-minute trailer with tons of stuff and tons of things that look so much improved. Like, yeah, you're looking at the character models might look slightly down, but if you look at the background in the city that they showed off year to year, it is so much densely filled with rich materials and stuff that you're actually going to be looking at. Like, yeah, you look at somebody's face when you talk to them in the game, but like, you could get past that. If the whole world looked janky, yeah, that'd be one thing. But like if it's beautiful and full of detail and that's where all of the energy is going, I mean, that's kind of what I would want them to focus on. And that's what they did. So like, I mean, even obviously review bombing and Twitter comments are very different things. But I saw like the developers for Postal tried to like come out and talk smack. And it's like the commenters are like, yeah, because if there's one person on, you know, jank that I want to hear from, it's the developers of Postal.
It's like, yeah, you don't really have much room to talk there. Well, let's, of course, you know, let us know what you think of that on our, you know, social media accounts. So at the Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook, at Twitter, at Game Deflators on Twitter. You can find us on our website, thegamedeflators.com. And of course, you can find us on the podcast app that you're listening to right now. Leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah, well, sorry. This is the one place I will say no review bombing.
Oh, yeah.
Only propping. Only 5 stars.
Only 5 stars. And if you can, leave 10.
Watch, people are going to be like 0 out of 5 stars for next week's podcast.
Yeah, right.
Haven't even heard it yet, but it sounds awful.
Yeah. So let's dive into the first article I have here pulled up is that there's a rumor that Nintendo is preparing a Nintendo Direct for next week. And this is by Sicker at My Nintendo News. So, you know, I mean, not a whole lot to kind of pull from here. There's obviously another article that we'll reference, but you know, it's interesting that you have 2 leakers. So you have Nate the Hate as well as, you know, Nintendo Universe specifically have both said through anonymous sources that, and reliable sources, that there is a Nintendo Direct that will be taking place next week. And the site said that it is going to be, or it will not be a third-party Direct, as there will be first-party games showcased. So that's a good sign, right? You know, for Nintendo fans to see like additional first-party games. I don't know when the last Nintendo Direct was.
I'll look it up.
So, you know, it's obviously good whenever you have those first-party titles, but that ties into another article that was from Gamer Rant, and that's through Dalton Cooper, who says a Nintendo leaker has teased big GameCube games that are
March
coming up.
9th.
Nice. So it's been a little bit.
Yeah.
So big GameCube games that are coming out for the Switch. And he references in this article the 1,000 Year Door, Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door, F-Zero, which is interesting because we haven't had an F-Zero game in a very long time. And then, of course, noted things like Metroid is noted on there, as well as Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, right? 2 games that people are looking for.
All GameCube games.
Yeah, all GameCube games, right? Obviously, we saw, what is it, Baten Kaitos?
Kaitos, yeah.
Yeah, Baten Kaitos, or whatever. That actually got, released in Play Asia. So GameCube games are coming out, right, with HD remasters and such. And it's, a good assumption to make that the next one could be GameCube games.
I think that would be such a strong play. And I remember reading some stuff about this a few months ago. I don't know if we really talked about it then, but with, the Switch being on the way out, and you were talking about this a little earlier, it's okay, what are they really going to be showing off? Because, with the brand new console coming up, a lot of times you'll have a swan song kind of game, but Tears of the Kingdom feels like that swan song kind of game. I don't know that you're going to really put something else to really push the system beyond that. And you also don't want to, go into the next gen without something real fresh to be able to carry you as a strong launch lineup. So if you've got, seemingly another year and a half that you maybe have to fill out until the launch of the next console, then where's a good place to go? Well, we all love those HD remakes now, and oh man, yeah, we've been talking about, what was it, last year in the shareholder meeting, somebody bought enough shares so that they could ask about F-Zero at the Nintendo meeting.
Yeah.
And everybody's been wanting, a really good classic Paper Mario game, and we've been getting all these weird ones. So to see the rumors of GX and Thousand Year Door just as HD remakes, that's genius. It's got to be way lower cost than trying to do something brand new. And it's literally what people have been asking for. We would be so happy with just those things. We really don't need them to develop brand new ones right away. But if they sell really well, it'll prove to Nintendo, hey, this is what people want. As far as I know, the Paper Mario games have been fairly successful. I think that each one has sold better than the last one.
I don't think Color Splash sold very well.
Maybe not Color Splash, but I think Origami King did pretty good. And, the reviews were kind of okay. People weren't super into the combat. People want the old one. And if they can sell this one and it blows them all out of the water, maybe that'll give them the, confidence to say, okay, we will go back and do it the way you want because you proved it with your dollars now. And same with F-Zero. They've been saying for years, we just don't know what to do new to it to make it better. So we're just not going to do it because Nintendo feels like they always need to innovate to do something. But, if they realize they can just make money doing the same thing, it gets away from what we like Nintendo, that they innovate and they do stuff. But they do it wrong so often. We really would be comfortable just them doing it the right way again, the way we want it to be done, the way they did it before.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point with the new console and whatnot, and so and I had noted it earlier, why would you push a whole bunch of Switch games? And the only logical explanation I would think is if the new console's backwards compatible, then it makes sense.
100% will be.
Well, I wouldn't say 100%.
Yeah,
because Switch wasn't backwards compatible with the Wii U or the Wii.
Well, because it's not a disc-based console.
I know. I'm just saying, it wasn't backwards compatible. And there were plenty of great games on the Wii U, but they obviously ported a whole bunch over in some capacity, right, over to the Switch. So if the Switch is back, or the new, whatever the new console is, Switch, Super Nintendo
Switch 2
Switch,
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, and Switch 2 Electric Boogaloo U. So, whatever that is, if it's backwards compatible, I think this would be the right move, right? Get a whole bunch of old GameCube games out there that are HD remakes, get those sold out on the Switch, bring out a console that is backwards compatible so all of your people can kind of adopt there, and then you really don't have to go out the gate with a ton of crazy, first-party titles. You can get a couple launched in there, right, to kind of get people interested, but you don't really have to necessarily. And I think there'll be enough interest there for that. I can picture though, because they did it with Wind Waker, or not Wind Waker, sorry, with God, what the hell was the one before Tears of the Kingdom? I don't know why.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild. I'm just spacing.
You didn't play it.
I didn't play it. Yeah. So they released on the Wii U, and then obviously it was released on the Switch in a higher res version, I guess you could say, right? So it'd be interesting to see like if this next console comes after like Tears of the Kingdom with DLC now on, whatever the new Switch is. Like that would piss so many people off, depending on when that kind of thing is announced.
I think it'll just be optimized to hopefully run Tears of the Kingdom better on the newer console.
Well,
it really depends on if they gimmick it out. Like if the new Switch does weird stuff, like, that'll make it a little bit wonky. Like I know that they've done a few, Nintendo is not shy of doing remakes for this console. Like they did bring up a bunch of like Wii U games and stuff over the last years, but those definitely had a lot more effort to convert them because you're going away from the dual screen. There was a lot more that you had to work to get that to go down. And, I see how same thing with like the Wii. And honestly, there's not that much on the Wii that I really would want them to pull over. Like I guess they did Skyward Sword.
Dude, there are so many good games on the Wii actually.
Yeah, but like games that are going to be inherently like you could play this in handheld mode on a Switch Lite and it's going to work as effectively and in the way you would want it to play when you were playing it on the Wii. Like
I see
that's a lot tougher of a transition, but the GameCube is so easy because it's just a screen and controls. You can just move those games over, and they were so foundationally good. Like the Metroid remake, so good. The Resident Evil 4 remake, that's not even on Switch, but so good. But these things from that era are so, I don't know, they've got a prominence to them. Like there was such a golden age on that console, even though it was at the time, like it got talked so much smack about compared to the Xbox and the PlayStation. But like the GameCube was just like a gem factory for these games that like are expensive and hard to get or whatever now, and giving them new life through, the next year. Like, yeah, bring on that. That's what our generation, we were ready for that nostalgia hit.
Yeah. Well, regardless of what they show, I think it'll be exciting news at the end of the day that we'll hear from Nintendo. So we will see what comes up here hopefully next week. But dude, let's dive into our inflation deflation. So we played Toy Story 2. I don't know if there's a subtitle in that, but Toy Story 2.
Buzz Lightyear to the rescue.
Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. It was developed by Traveler's Tales, published by Activision Disney Interactive. It was directed by John Burton, and it was released in 1999, November of 1999 specifically. It's a platformer with a reception around a 6 to 8 out of 10.
Depending on the console.
Yeah, I would imagine PlayStation is probably a little bit higher on this, or no?
Actually, the highest score, I think, was on Dreamcast.
Interesting. Okay, you know what? I think I have it on Dreamcast, too, funny enough.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do.
I remember playing this on PlayStation as a kid and just loving it over at my friend's house.
Yeah. Graphically, actually, Dreamcast would probably have been it would be the better option because that was released during the period of PS2, which is why some of his games hold up so well, I think. Plot-wise, it follows the plot of the movie. So Woody gets kidnapped, and it's up to you as Buzz Lightyear to save him with the help of your toy friends. So, Ryan, take it away as far as gameplay and what we experienced.
Yeah, so classic, movie license tie-in game, but done well. I think back in the day, Disney definitely had like a lot more involvement through their own studio, and they didn't really just like throw things out to be licensed out as like shovelware garbage like a lot of other movie tie-in games. So it definitely has that kind of quality in the same way that I would say like Aladdin has that kind of, movie tie-in quality game. And it just feels good. Like I remember being a kid and, Toy Story was so novel and great as like one of the first like early 3D movies that you had played or watched, and being able to translate that over onto some of like N64, PlayStation 2, so it's not like super early in the cycle for going into 3D games, but still early enough that kind of novelty there, still kind of figuring things out a bit. So a little bit more forgiveness and leeway. But, the platforming, as a toy in a big human world is endlessly entertaining. Like, being small in a regular environment creates great platforming opportunities. You know, just getting around everyday things and navigating the world as a toy is really fun.
It also makes you wonder what Andy's mom is doing. Because you go into the garage and there's like 4 automatic drills going down at all times. And there's multiple buzz saws going on the side as well, just constantly
That's why
running.
I was like, where's Andy's dad in all this?
Right? Like Andy's dad is, incapacitated.
He's chopped up somewhere.
He's gone. Yeah. His mom like really screwed up his dad. So, this game's actually a pretty good platformer. I enjoyed it. The camera angles were a little wonky, but
N64.
N64, but I think in general you would probably have this issue regardless, Well, I don't know, because like...
Dual analog
That's true. Dual
camera,
analog.
hopefully.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have this issue on the PlayStation or PlayStation 2. But yeah, on the N64 it's a little harder, right? Because you have to use the C buttons, right? And then you've got your joystick for like general movement.
Well, the C was for like...
C was for camera.
Oh, was it? Just
Yeah.
the down was an attack?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing. So left and right was how you moved your camera.
Oh, I kept just trying to use the shoulder button to like center it back in front of me.
No, we actually had, it was automatic camera work. So like if you were going straight, the camera automatically panned that way, but it was an issue because if you're turning a certain angle and like say you wanted to look sideways, like, straight up like, classic 2D platformer style, you couldn't because it would automatically rotate you and then you fall off a ledge right off the bat.
Lots of falling off of ledges.
Yeah, so once you turn that off, it became a little bit easier to kind of manage those high-end points. But, as far as platformers are concerned, I thought it was actually a pretty good platformer. I had some fun. We played all of Andy's house. We got all of the sheep. We got all the coins. We got the Pizza Planet tokens, all of that. We cleared it up. And there's plenty of... what's his name? Is it Zerg? Is that his name? I forget who the bad guy is.
Yeah, Zerg. I mean, I don't think we saw Zerg. I think it was just the robots.
It was his like lackeys,
Yeah.
basically. And that's what I was referring to. I just wanted to say Zerg's lackeys. And, it was pretty cool being able to use a laser beam, bouncing off like ground pounding on the couch or a chair to be able to go to different sections of the level. Oil slicks, like all these crazy fun things, like grabbing on the poles and swinging. Like there was... As far as platform is concerned, there was a lot going for it. And graphically, it was actually pretty good. So, looking at the brass tacks on this, a complete in-box copy right now on the N64 will run you $54.39. It peaked at $67.95 in December of 2015. It's actually kind of shocking that it peaked then. A loose copy right now will run you $16.91.
It was kind of one of those like random super spikes
gotcha.
that went up a long time ago.
A loose copy will run you at $16.91. It peaked at $19.26 in April of this year. Actually, it's trending up. And then it's not on digital console, not on PC, none of that. No advertised pricing out there anywhere. I think it's $16.91, dude. Like, honestly, I think this is a $20 platformer easily. I don't think that this is one of those games that. If you see this for $15, $16, you turn it down. I think you buy it because I think it will go up. And I do see the value at that $20 price point. So in my opinion, I think this game is actually deflated.
Yeah, I think that it's a really fun game. I mean, looking it up online, you can get a complete in-box PS2 version for $21.21.
Yeah,
so that's probably what I would say is a really decent price for this. So the fact that you can get the N64 cart loose for less than that, I mean, maybe the controls aren't as tight, but... You would never know if you only played one version of it.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable game. I mean, I don't really have anything against it. It controlled well for the most part, and the story is Toy Story. So if you're a fan of anything Pixar related or just want to have a good fun platformer, this is one to play.
Mm-hmm. It's got the music, it's got the voices, it's got that really home feel. Like if you like Toy Story as a kid, or even in the modern era, if you show your kids these kind of things and you can get them to play old games. I mean, this would be a terrific kids, first platformer. I mean, Buzz Lightyear is like, when I was a kid, Buzz Lightyear was super cool. He's got a laser, he's got wings, he flies in style. Like, all that stuff is awesome, and it's fun to be that.
Yeah, totally agree with you, dude. So our official one on this one is Deflated. It's first one in a while, I think, actually.
I think so.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Don't know what we're playing next week. We haven't figured that out. I'm thinking something on PS1. You can use your ability to conserve video games, and I will pull something off my shelf.
I am a conservationist.
You are a video game conservationist, as we talked about last night, too. Well, this has been episode 240 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.